You might have heard that former baseball player and Red Sox pitcher Curt Schilling is now a likely, possible, somewhat likely future Republican Senate candidate. Curt Schilling, conservative political views are pretty widely known here in Massachusetts, maybe a little less so nationally. Curt Schilling showed up on CNN, and he just couldn't understand for the life of him how Jewish people can be voting for Democrats. And he wanted Jake Tapper to explain it to him because, hey, Jake Tapper is Jewish, right? Check out this bizarre and awkward exchange on CNN between Republican former baseball pitcher Curt Schilling and Red Sox champion, I might add, and Jake Tapper on CNN.
I would like to ask you something about as a person who's practicing the Jewish faith and has since you were young. I don't understand, and maybe this is the amateur non-politician in me. I don't understand how people of Jewish faith can back the Democratic Party, which over the last 50 years has been so clearly anti-Israel, so clearly anti-Jewish Israel, I mean, I don't know what else would need to be done, said, or happen for people to understand that the Democratic Party is allied with Israel only because we have agreements in place that make them have to be.
Well, I don't speak for Jews, and I don't support the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I would imagine, just to try to answer your question, that one of the reasons many Jews are Democrats has more to do with Democrats' support for social welfare programs and that sort of thing than it does for Israel. And I know that a lot of Jews who are very strong supporters of Israel do support the Republican Party, but
right.
I don't speak for Jews, but Curt
right,
Schilling,
no, and I know you don't. I know you don't. I just always find it a great conversation for somebody of your faith because I want to understand the reasons behind some of those things. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I know you don't speak for Jews, Jake, but please speak for Jews and tell me exactly why it is that Jews are doing this. The reality is that the Democratic Party is very close to the Republican Party on the issue of Israel. You don't see the religious ideologues who support Israel for religious reasons nearly as much on the Democratic side than the Republican side. But there are some confused far leftists that are straight up anti-Israeli and in some cases anti-Semitic. You know, I call it out all the time. But the reality is that the Democratic Party, by and large, is friendly to Israel in the United States. And Pat, there's a lot that people just don't seem to understand about Jews. I mean, first and foremost, Jews are overwhelmingly non-religious. So that is going to make a lot of the other issues that are relevant to progressive voters relevant to Jews. And of course, Judaism is a religion, but being Jewish is also an ethnicity and a culture. And by and large, most Jews are quite non-religious. If someone says to you, I am a Christian, that is a very, very specific and often strong religious connotation. When I say to someone, I'm Jewish, I'm not talking about religion at all. And Curt Schilling just doesn't seem to understand anything about Jews, and he really wants Jake to explain it to him.
Yeah, exactly. And a CNN interview is not the time to be doing that. I mean, you're the guest on the program.
Yeah.
Go home, do your research before you get on live TV.
No doubt about it. And then, of course, often the biggest misconception about Jews make up 0.19% of the world population. And there are many people, and I've spoken to many of them, Jew haters and Israel haters. When you ask them, hey, before we get into the details of whatever question you might have about Jews or Israel or whatever, what portion of the world population do you think is Jewish? And oftentimes you hear, oh, probably like 5% of the world population, or, oh, I don't know, 10% of the world population, in some cases even 20. And we've seen from a number of studies that the higher your estimation of the Jewish population of the world, but overall, right, not in all cases, but overall, the more Jews you think there are in the world, the more stereotypically anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish beliefs that you hold. That's not everybody, but that's big picture. Now, to get back to Curt Schilling, I actually am scared of Curt Schilling running against Elizabeth Warren here in Massachusetts for her Senate seat, because Massachusetts is Democratic by and large, but it is not as liberal as many people think. It is more sort of Kennedy establishment Democratic than it is Bernie Sanders liberal. In 2012, Mitt Romney had nearly 40% of the vote. And when you get someone that is as polarizing as Elizabeth Warren, and someone that is, and Boston sports taken very seriously in Massachusetts, Pat, as you know, as popular as Curt Schilling, I don't think this is something to laugh off if you're an Elizabeth Warren supporter.
And this is the same Curt Schilling, too, who was fired from ESPN for tweeting an offensive meme against the transgender community.
Right.
But, yeah, my fear is that, I mean, Boston sports is so big here, and he was part of 2 championship Red Sox teams, that he would actually be able to defeat a lioness in the Senate, Elizabeth Warren. I
hope it doesn't happen. We'll be following it. And by the way, Curt Schilling holding just an embarrassingly poorly attended Trump rally over the weekend. Almost nobody showed up. You can look it up. I won't even tell you more about it, but it was a laughing stock.